The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown. End zone, Jake Ferguson.
Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's a free agency edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the SWBC Studios. Welcome in, everybody. We've got the whole cast and crew ready for you to rock today with Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. So glad you're with us. Yes, free agency is upon us. The legal tampering period is here, and the Cowboys, more active than they have been in the past, but still probably left a lot to be desired over the last 24 hours or so.
Not enough.
And we're going to break it all down.
Enough.
They have made some moves. We're going to talk about those moves, but we're also going to talk about what could be next, if anything, for the Cowboys.
Tampering's over. It's time to pamper.
Tampering, no pampering?
No pamper, no tamper.
Pamper, no tamper.
No
Pamper, no tamper. Yeah.
No tamper, pamper.
There you go.
No tamper.
No That comes on March 11th. We got another 24 hours.
No powder books.
So. But Cowboys make a couple moves.
I don't want to damper your pamper
Don't damper my pamper.
Oh.
on the tamper.
on the tamper.
Yeah.
Or hamper the pamper that you're attempting to tamper.
All of our audio listeners. Our audio listeners just turned us off. If you're still around, thank you. I appreciate it. They're like, okay, this is what type of day it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
This is what we do.
Patrik Walker, you've had your finger on the pulse of Cowboys tampering period.
Yeah.
Who have they decided to pamper going into this 2026 season?
Well, let's start with literally who they decided to pamper. They agreed to terms to a one-year deal with Sam Williams. So Sam Williams is remaining in the building on you just call it, yeah.
It was a bar.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were headed with that, but now I get it.
We got there. We got there. Sam Williams back on a one-year deal for $3 million. Key special teams guy for the Cowboys, but we're not going to pretend that he doesn't need to show something on the defensive side of the ball.
But this new system fits him, though. It does. I mean,
it fits him better.
Well, I'm saying, the type of player that he is, yes. I'll say that, right?
Yeah.
If there was a choice between a 4-3 and a 3-4, this is the system that he will want to be in. Yeah. So I know we've been hard in regards to, analytically, going after, Sam Williams, but that's because he, in my opinion, did not fit a 4-3 type defensive end. He is a 3-4 outside linebacker. This system should bode well for him.
He was thrown into the Mike Zimmer defense. He was thrown into Eberflus's defense. So, yeah, maybe it might not have suited him as well. But I think there's a lot of concerns there as far as just personal fouls. I think that's one of the things that you have to consider. I mean, he has 9.5 sacks in his career, but 9 personal fouls.
And that's the big thing.
He's got to be able to mature. I mean, granted, they're giving him another shot. It's a, 1-year deal, $3 million. That's interesting. But I'd say there are better moves that were made yesterday.
There were. That price tag is a bit high for a special teams player that needs to show himself on defense and show that you can either impact it positively on defense or at least, at minimum, not impact it negatively on defense. But that's the Sam Williams equation. Hopefully he shows up this year in a big way. We obviously hope that these guys do, but we're also going to tell you what the real is. Bigger news to what Josh is saying. First of all, Cowboys started off legal tampering, not with a free agency signing, but with a trade. Cowboys traded for former Packers. Edge rusher Rashan Gary. The Cowboys were able to get him for a 4th-round pick from the 2027 NFL draft lot. So the Cowboys are, at the moment, absorbing that contract with a base salary of $18 million this year, but the expectation is that will be reworked. So I need you to open your eyes. Slowly, there you go. There you go. It is not the expectation that he will play this season under the Packers contract that the Cowboys are inheriting. So there's a handshake agreement there, but it is only 24 hours after that trade was agreed to, but it can't be finalized until Wednesday anyway. Yeah. So you're not going to see a reworked contract until the trade can be finalized. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Legal tampering is yesterday and today. Tomorrow, when the league year opens at 4 p.m. Eastern time, everything becomes final, and then you can start reworking contracts like that. So Rashan Gary in the building, splash play for the Cowboys to get him for Christian Parker in this new system, and then they went and made another splash play. They jumped all the way to safety. We talked about Isaiah and Josh are of the ilk. That safety is slightly more important than linebacker. Kyle and I are on the other side of that. But they went to Jalen Thompson. So they signed Jalen Thompson, former Arizona Cardinal, spent several seasons with, guess who, Ryan Smith, the secondary coach now here in Dallas. So obviously you knew who stood on that table for Jalen Thompson. Love Jalen Thompson's versatility. He's played free safety in his past with the Cardinals, but he is now a strong safety with the versatility to be able to cover. Someone posted some clips yesterday of his range. Insane. Yeah. His range is absolutely insane. They got him on a 3-year, $36 million max deal. So he's here.
Not that money.
They also restructured Malik Hooker, which saves them $2 million against the cap. But in restructuring Malik Hooker, anyone who was asking if Malik Hooker will be in the building this year, that means he will be in the building. They're not restructuring a player that they're going to release or trade or any of those things. So as it stands, your starting safety unit is Malik Hooker at free, and Jalen Thompson coming in at strong. What does that mean for Donovan Wilson? Likely means that Donovan Wilson is going to be playing elsewhere going forward, because they did not give Jalen Thompson a $36 million contract for him to play in rotation or back up to anybody. No. So there you go.
Writing's on the wall there.
Writing's on the wall there. They also restructured the deal on Terrence Steele. So no one on this panel, because we knew they were going to keep Terrence Steele. They saved $9 million toward the salary cap by restructuring Terrence Steele. So he's going to be your starting right tackle going forward.
And it's a cheaper deal.
And it is
much cheaper deal for Dallas. It makes him the 16th highest paid offensive tackle in football, which, if you're looking at his production and the pay that he's going to have, that's about right.
It's commensurate.
That's about right.
Are those details finalized, or does that have to wait till Wednesday as well?
No,
that one can be finalized.
Restructures can be done now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
since
that's
he's under
freeing
contract.
Up, that's freeing up cap money.
So gotcha. But it's not a pay cut necessarily.
No, it is not a pay cut.
It's just reorganized from a salary cap.
Reorganizing. It's liquidating more funds for him up front, but allowing the Cowboys to get cap relief. Same as what we talked about last week with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Smith. So, and they still have some that they could restructure. Also, Odigizua is a big one that's staring you right in the face if you need to make that move and pull that trigger and restructure and get cap savings without his permission. Since we last spoke, the Cowboys have issued a second-round tender. This is a lot of news and notes, but we're flying through it. Second-round tender on both Brandon Aubrey and TJ Bass at $5.6 million per. Point of clarity for those that may not know, with the second-round tender, Cowboys have the right to first refusal. If a team makes an offer to one of those two guys, Aubrey or Bass, the Cowboys can look at that offer, choose to match it. If they choose to match it, they have the right to retain the player. If they choose to not match it and the player leaves, whatever team they go to, Cowboys get a second-round pick as compensation for that loss. So, again, that's Aubrey and Bass. No second-round tender or any tender on Wanye Thomas or Brock Hoffman. Kind of surprising on Brock Hoffman, but from a logistics standpoint, while I don't like it, I understand it, because then you're paying $5.6 million for what they determined to be the 7th offensive lineman. I think TJ Bass is the 7th offensive lineman, so that's where they and I disagree. But for the sake of explaining why they didn't tender both, that's why they didn't tender both.
I think there's a little bit more league-wide interest in TJ Bass.
I can agree with that.
Than for Brock Hoffman.
Based on what we're hearing.
And you can still re-sign Brock Hoffman. You can still work a deal and bring him back.
He's a little upset at the moment, though.
Yeah, he's a little upset, but we'll talk about that later. When it comes to TJ Bass, though, that's why I think it came down to those two guys, and they had to put a second-round tender on one, not both, and they said, let's go with TJ Bass because we feel like there's a better opportunity to bring Hoffman back in the building than it might be for TJ Bass to return.
And
you're going to do it to Aubrey to protect your rights there and make sure that you have one of the best kickers in the league.
That's facts.
Under contract.
Now, to wrap up news and notes, as well I can, considering what all we got going, Cowboys also were awarded 2 compensatory picks for the 2026 NFL Draft, both in the 5th round, 177th overall and 180th overall. Those picks can be traded. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Cowboys can use those as sweeteners for whatever package they might have that maybe gets them back into the 2nd or 3rd round or whatever trade they might want to do on trade day or prior to. So that's the news and notes. Cowboys, I'm not even going to say they missed out on Max Crosby because I agree not giving 2 first-rounders to Max Crosby. But they definitely went all the way to the finish line with that, and then Baltimore was like, yeah, we're willing to do it. And I agree with the Cowboys not being willing to do it, which led to Rashan Gary. Questions are being asked to me, well, no, see, with the Rashan Gary acquisition, are they out on Trey Hendrickson? As we have this conversation, they are not out on Trey Hendrickson. They are out on $30 million for Trey Hendrickson. But if that price can come down, kind of commensurate to some concerns about if he's ready to go, if he will be ready to go medically after that injury, I think
apparently he is.
Yeah, I think a deal can be struck. They're still working the Trey Hendrickson angle. So if all things work out how the Cowboys would love them to, you might end up with both Gary and Hendrickson, and then they whiffed on the linebacker.
Oh
thing.
man, yeah, that was a tough day.
All right. So before we get too far into this, I want to talk about the Rashan Gary trade. I want to talk about that. When it comes to Rashan Gary, you trade a 4th-round pick, and I put this out there yesterday. Dallas has been very recently willing to trade 4th-round picks for players. They did it for
They're
Trey
pretty
Lance.
loose with them, arguably.
Yeah, 3 times in the last 4 years. Trey Lance, Jonathan Mingo. Now you got Rashan Gary. This is, out of those 3, the best chance for the player to end up being an impact player for your team. I see a lot of pushback, though, on Twitter and on the social media side of things from Cowboys fans about Rashan Gary. Remember, this is not the blue chip edge rusher that I think everybody wanted. But is he a good football player? Absolutely. Is he better than what you had on this roster last year? Absolutely. I think he is your best pass rusher outside of maybe Donovan Ezeraku, and we'll talk about Jadeveon Clowney at some point down the line. Either one of those guys, I think, is better. I mean, you got a really solid starting caliber edge rusher / defensive lineman, because he's probably going to play a lot of that 4-eye spot in Christian Parker's defense. So I don't want to knock on that. The knock, I think, is where people are assuming Dallas is done now. They missed out on all these guys. They missed out on these players. They missed out on free agency in general. That's where the frustration lies, Josh. And I feel like it might be fair in some elements. Linebacker, I think it's fair. They've missed out on linebacker.
Yes.
But with the edge rusher possibilities that are still on the table and some of these other secondary players, I don't think they're done yet. And I still get the feeling that they're going to work something out in a couple of those areas. It may have to be trades now as opposed to free agency, but I just don't think Rashan Gary is your number one move. But right now, people are thinking that's going to be the number one move.
No, and of course, it was the first thing that you did. It was one of the first stories to come out of day one of free agency or legal tampering. Yeah. So I understand that respect. I understand people being frustrated. I was frustrated at the end of the day because of the linebacker situation. Mm-hmm. I think that the trade for Rashan Gary, granted, if you ask any Packers fan, they're like, oh, we fleeced the Cowboys. Okay. Paying Micah Parsons $40 million. Okay, never mind. But the best availability is availability, at least for Rashan Gary, who started 16 of 17 games, played 616 snaps without missing a tackle, the second most in a season since 2018. He had 7.5 sacks, which paired with a Jadeveon Clowney from last year would have been a savior. That would have been amazing to have a guy like that on your team last year.
Huge.
Granted, you think that he obviously benefited from a Micah Parsons playing alongside Micah Parsons throughout the year last year. I think it's not just a rotational guy. I think he's a starting caliber outside linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call it in the scheme. But they're using him primarily on the left side, and I think more than anything, they're looking at his run defense abilities. And paired with Jalen Thompson, who is also very versatile and is able to play at the line of scrimmage and is great against the run, I think it's just it's more of a philosophy that they're trying to improve that side of the ball and be sure tacklers. Both of these guys are that. I don't think this is saying that we're done with free agency. It can't be that way because they were trying really hard to get a linebacker yesterday. It just didn't swing our way. Not that I'm making excuses for it, because I think if you want a guy desperately enough, you do what you can to go get him. That's why Trey Hendrickson is still on the board. I'm like, okay, guys, go get him. I almost don't care what it takes. I don't want to go $30 million, and he's not coming off of that number right now. But seriously, I think if you want a total facelift of your defense, that's what you need to do.
I think and I agree with what you're saying, and I feel like when it comes to the Rashan Gary move, I think what the Rashan Gary move does for you is a few things. First of all, this is a guy who has 24 sacks. If you're one of those people who only use sacks as a measurement for success as an edge rusher, you also shouldn't do that.
No.
But okay, let me just give you a crumb today. He had 24 sacks through the past 3 seasons. He averaged 7.5 over the past 2 seasons. He's the definition of consistency in both that category as well as durability. He played in 17 full regular season games in 2024, 15 starts out of 16 games that he was active in 2025, so you're getting that as well. I do agree with Kyle. Do I look at Rashan Gary as the whale? No, I don't look at him as the whale. I look at him as a very good football player who is good at rushing the passer and at stopping the run, who, if combined with another move, Trey Hendrickson, ideally, but if you don't get Trey Hendrickson, then, there's a guy in Miami I would like to tandem him with, in addition to Donovan Ezra-Raku. I just feel like, and I agree with both your points, Rashan Gary isn't the end-all, be-all to resolve the issue at the edge, but he can be with a +1. The question is, who's the +1? My bigger concern with the Cowboys is, and again, not for lack of effort, because we're here in the building. We know for a fact they went hard at linebacker yesterday. Ooh, they were
making calls.
Yeah, it
crazily.
just didn't go.
What happened to your dog,
Kobe,
man?
We need to talk, bro.
What happened to your dog?
Kobe, what are you doing?
All right.
What are you doing?
He chose a 2-win team.
What are you doing?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Why couldn't you get your dog here?
Roof. What are we doing? Listen, I did all I could. I did all I could.
You put some feelers out there.
Listen, I promise you I did all I could.
Maybe Pat's tweets were what sent him away. It's like, I don't want to deal with this guy.
But voice of the star guy.
I mean, we
possibly
got no seed.
Argues with everybody.
We got no seed that's here, right? Former Bulldog.
Yeah.
You have his former coach.
You can't say it today.
Who's calling the plays on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And neither of those was good enough to get him here. What the heck?
I'm going to tell you what happened.
Yeah, what happened?
No dogs.
All jokes aside, I was like, Nakobe, what are you doing? So, kind of called around, texted around, because Georgia's a family, baby. Us dogs were a family.
Let's find out what the family got.
So I was just like, word is, because of how the Raiders set the table with keeping Eric Stokes and getting Quay Walker.
His teammate.
Yeah, former teammates from Georgia, championship, natty winners. So
he went with his friends instead of
he went with I'll draft C.J. Allen. I'll do whatever you need to. Come on.
But
I know they're not
that's
teammates,
a maybe. And then, but all jokes aside, man, I wish Nakobe nothing but the best. And he did not, he left a rival. He didn't go to another rival. So, okay, cool. But, it did sting because it was right there. The money was comparable. Chidera Uzo-Deribe's here. Robert Muschamp's here. George Pickens is still in the building. Nakobe, what are you doing to me?
I honestly wasn't sad about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just playing around. But I was sad about missing out on Lloyd.
Yes,
I was sad about missing
Quincy.
out on Little. I mean, both of those guys.
How'd you feel about Quincy? Quincy Williams, Quinnen's brother.
Oh, that didn't bother me.
That didn't bother you?
No, that didn't bother me. I like Anzalone.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he flew off. Once that run on linebacker started, it was
those three really in particular. It was really Lloyd, Little, and then Anzalone.
And I think the league looks at it that way too, which is why they flew off the board as quickly as they did.
Yep.
I mean, there was really no room for error on one side or the other, not just one team, not just the Cowboys. I mean, teams were hunting linebacker, and you could see that.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Gary trade, though?
I thought it was a good trade. As you guys mentioned, nothing that's jumping off the board. But what I think the angle that the Cowboys are taking, I think they're stuck between old times and the new wave right now. I think that they're still trying to be on the Stephen Jones. Let's save a couple dollars in our pocket. Not necessarily bargain shopping, but it's like a pull. It's like, hey, I know I need to do more than what I've done, but I still don't want to empty the bag so much. I think that they're going to have more depth than they've ever had. I'm just not sure that they're going to have the star players that everybody is hoping to see, especially now that free agent has passed. I foresee them making one more depth move. I would say probably two more moves. I think they're going to add a linebacker.
I do think they're going to.
I think they're going to add another outside linebacker / DN, but I don't think that it's going to be a big splash player. I think it's going to be a consistent player, somebody who makes contributions, and I think that they're really kind of they're going to be forced to turn their attention to consistency versus one splash. And I think that they're really torn between, well, we had a Micah in the building who was the big splash, and we've seen what that did for our overall defense. Okay, a heck of a player, but they made a hardline decision to go away from that, right? To go away from dumping the money into one player so that they can have the money to have depth, right, and rotation and have consistency. So I think that they're really torn between, should we go back to that? We find ourselves going back towards the Micah stuff. No, we can't do that. We already had that guy in the building. So let's go ahead and let's add the depth and add consistency so we can have 3 or 4 guys that are able to come in and play. And no, they might not all individually be splash players and can be, absolutely dominant, but collectively as a defense, we could be one heck of a unit if we have consistency across the board. So I think they really keep getting in that tug of war, right? It's like, you mentioned that they try to go after some of these linebackers. I don't think they're going to overpay at the defensive end / outside linebacker position. Gary, as you guys mentioned, they're going to rework that contract. So I think that they're really going to add 2 or 3 more pieces for depth and consistency, and then go hard with their first-round picks on the defensive side. So I think that you're still going to see a completely different defense. It's just not going to be, ooh, you better watch that player. He can kill us. But
I would argue that the depth pieces that you would want to add to your defense currently have been eliminated. Because in day one,
there's still some
it wasn't necessarily the big splash players. I mean, we're talking about Lloyd and Little, who didn't necessarily command like giant contracts. I think like very doable contracts for what the Cowboys are trying to do, to still be able to pay George Pickens and a lot of your franchise players in the future. But to have those guys go off day one and not make the hard enough push to make it happen, to me is disappointing. I think that as far as linebacker goes, yesterday was a really, really tough sit.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, if we had to offer up a grade, I think yesterday was a C. They got off to the races with.
Really?
Yeah, they got off to the races.
I'd give it like a B minus. B minus. I mean, you got a starting safety and a starting
Jalen
edge
Thompson
rusher.
is an A.
Like, those are 2 guys that are better than what you had
Jalen Thompson is an
last year.
A. Rashan Gary is a B+, but I can't give Gary an A because I literally just sat here and said you need a +1 to complete that package.
Which I agree.
So if you need a +1,
If this is
with
all
Jalen
they
Thompson,
do-
I don't think you need the +1 to complete the Jalen Thompson move.
Yeah.
So it's an A. But if you need any type of sweetener for the move, then it can't be an A. So that would be, let's say, a B+. So if I give an A to Jalen Thompson, signing,
And you
a
give
B+
a B+
to Gary. And I got to give you an F on linebacker because nothing was addressed there.
Totally get it.
So I land right at C.
But it's also day one.
No, I agree. I said
It is day one.
to
There's
qualify,
a lot of names
I
still
said
out there.
if I'm grading
except that
yesterday.
linebacker.
If I'm grading yesterday, I didn't say if I'm grading free agency.
Sure.
Free agency's not over. But if I'm grading yesterday's a C. Let's see what the moves are today. But I will also admit Josh has a great point. Some of the depth, especially at linebacker, there was such a run on linebackers that, and I think everyone who follows me on Twitter saw when I said Sonny or CJ, also Rodriguez, I'm into that as well, come on down, because now there's been such a run at linebacker and free agency, where it's like now anyone you sign outside of some type of blockbuster linebacker trade, now you start looking at the draft and you start looking at 12 or 20 at that position.
And maybe other teams don't necessarily need linebackers in front of you, and you have the
because there was a run on linebackers in free agency.
Maybe.
So
all right, when we come back, I want to talk about what could be next for Dallas. What are the other moves that they can get to make this feel better than what it has been? I still think they're moving in the right direction, but as Isaiah talked about, and I completely agree with, haven't necessarily emptied the bag quite yet. Let's talk about what they can do in order to do so. Plus, we're going to take a look around the NFC East as well. More Talkin Cowboys right after this.
How's it going? You see that Cowboys game?
Oh, I watched. Been seeing some good things.
Totally. They have some talent.
Yup, some great talent.
And they got some fight.
Hoping this is the year.
Me too. Oh, I'm Cody, by the way.
I'm Travis.
Nice to meet you, Travis. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys!
Make a new friend based solely on their shirt choice. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Cowboys fans, we've got big news. Black Rifle Energy is now available at Texas 7-Eleven stores. And for a limited time, you can score 2 cans for just $6 at participating locations. These cans pack a serious punch, 200 milligrams of caffeine, veteran-crafted flavor, and the clean energy you need to power through those long days. So the next time you roll into your neighborhood 7-Eleven here in Texas, grab that 2 for $6 Black Rifle Energy deal and fuel up the American way. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee.
Every day begins with a promise to work hard and to build a future. That's why we're here, providing the tools, expertise, and John Deere equipment you have relied on for generations to help you get the job done right. We're with you. That's our promise to you, because no matter the project or the challenge you're facing,
We're with you. We're united.
At AT&T, we guarantee our network so you can talk college football with your BFF while taking Buster to the vet.
Hey, yeah, I can't believe he ate the whole thing of chicken wings.
And I can't believe we're staging a comeback. Touchdown! Yes!
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, you'll automatically get a bill credit for a full day's service. For wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers, must be connected to impacted tower at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome in, everybody. All right, continuing to talk about free agency. Right now, the Cowboys are 22nd out of 32 teams in terms of free agent spending. Would anybody like to take a guess on who is number one on that list?
Carolina
Panthers.
It is not the
Tennessee.
Carolina Panthers. They are third.
Tennessee.
The Raiders.
Tennessee Titans are number one.
Yeah.
$283 million on day one.
You know what? Raiders number 2.
They are number 2. $281.5 million. So only one.
Linderbaum.
So those two teams hit 280. The Panthers are in third at 172.
Tyler Smith's like, doggone it.
Dag-nabbit.
The amount of additions the Raiders made, man, was just wild. It's crazy to see how much they spent. Now, there is something in common for a lot of these teams. You take a look at the Raiders, the Titans, the Commanders, the Saints, the Colts, the Giants, all in the top, 7 teams of spending. All of those teams are picking in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So you've got all of those teams because the Raiders, the Titans, the Giants, the Commanders, the Saints. I don't believe one of those teams I named, the Colts, are not picking in the top 10, but you know what I mean. So lots of spending from the bottom level teams in the draft. And we're going to take a look at what the NFC East did here in a couple of moments as well. But I want to take a look at some of the top 100 free agents according to NFL.com and who is still out there that could be a fit for Dallas.
Oh, I got some guys, Kyle.
Got some guys. Tell me one. Who you got?
I mean, people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but anyways, I don't really care.
Buddy.
I still want Bobby Wagner.
Yeah,
still want Bobby Wagner. Caleb Von Chase,
48 years old.
Absolutely,
Bobby Wagner.
Absolutely, still one of the top linebackers in the league. Bobby Wagner,
35.
A coach on the field.
A coach on the field, consistent, great person, great locker room guy, leader, just all those things. He still got some tread on the tires. So I think you can get him for a very affordable number.
Crazy.
I think that,
and especially if you're drafting linebackers,
coach.
what better pairing would it be to have a Bobby Wagner coaching these guys up? Like we said, literally a coach on the field to help these guys improve. I mean, like even for a guy like Shamar James, how crucial would that be? Yeah,
right. If you're going to have a rotational veteran, that's one. Caleb Von Chase out of
I agree.
New England. I like him a lot as well.
That would be such a full circle moment.
Yes, it would.
It would be so full
Why is that,
circle
Kyle?
from 2020.
Because he was almost
CeeDee Lamb, Caleb Von Chase that was the decision at 17. They go with CeeDee Lamb, best player available, not over the need of edge rusher, which they needed. And then for him to just come on back after CeeDee Lamb's been an all-pro. They get it right, and then Caleb Von Chase gets the circle all the way back.
To see it.
That would be wild. I would love.
Would you like that move?
You know what? I would. I think it'd be fun because it would go into what you talked about a couple weeks ago when we're talking about this 3-4 scheme and switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4, even though they're going to run multiple. I know there's that conversation too. You need versatile edge rushers. You need big-bodied edge rushers. And that's what K'Lavon Chaisson can bring. So I think it would add to that room of edge rushers you need to compile. You've added it with Rashan Gary. K'Lavon Chaisson would be another depth piece. Is he your starter? No. Is he a rotational player? Absolutely. He's probably going to play a lot of snaps for you.
Of those listed, where does Caden Ellis
I love Caden Ellis.
Yeah.
Phenomenal player. And you talk about him as one of the and I know NFL.com wrote about this. I completely agree. The most underrated players of his generation. And he's 31 years old. He's established himself as a pass rushing linebacker. You can play him off ball. You can play him on ball. You can play him kind of in a number of different areas. Played a ton of snaps. I think it was, 1,000 snaps over the last 3 seasons or so. Give me Caden Ellis at the second level. I would love something like that. 2-year, 3-year deal. Let's make it happen.
Is he top of your list as far as linebackers go?
As far as linebackers, probably.
Yeah.
He'd probably be number 1 remaining out of the free agent list. I know there's the rumors of what they would do in for possible trades scenarios. Yeah. I would like those. That would be fun. But we can't talk about the specific players. Caden Ellis, we can talk about since he's a free agent. Yeah, he would probably be my number 1 remaining.
What about Leo out of
Chenal?
City? Yeah.
He'd probably be right there.
Yeah.
I would give the edge to Ellis, though. I think he fits the system.
Similarly, on NFL.com, they were talking about his availability and playing more than 500 snaps in a year. Is he capable of doing something like that? Chenal,
yeah. For me, and this is some of these guys that we're talking about that are still available made it to my open market series on DallasCowboys.com.
So I'm still mad at you. I'm still mad at you, sir. Still mad at you.
Chaisson is one of those guys. So when we're talking about adding the sweetener to the Gary deal, Chaisson would be that a sweetener, an example of that sweetener. You got to address linebacker today. So whether it be Ellis, whether it be Chenal, you got to address linebacker. I'm going to go to cornerback because they didn't address that yesterday either. I want Tariq Woolen.
I like those words.
Yeah, I've always been a Reek Woolen fan since he was at UTSA.
So
down in the Alamo Dome, they call him Reek the Freak, baby. Bring him back to the Lone Star State. Let's go.
What'd you say?
It's going to cost you.
Reek Woolen?
I don't care.
Shut up. You
shut up.
You're saying that because he went to Seattle. He was a backup.
Care.
He's fine.
Kyle pulled the Bugs Bunny. Shut up.
Yes.
Oh, the reason why.
Yes.
The Mel Blanc. Shut up.
I know exactly. I hear.
Quiet.
It's too good.
He wants
Only diehard Bugs fans know why we're cracking.
Yes,
that is fantastic.
That was really fun.
No, Reek wants the bag, man. I don't think that you can get Reek.
No, he's gonna get.
I don't think you can get Reek and the pass rusher that you want. I don't think you can get both.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Isaiah.
You can.
I just don't like your Seattle Super Bowl champion mind negating our dreams of getting a tall, lanky, speedy corner.
I vehemently disagree that you can't do both things.
Really?
You can do both things. An example being, at the top of the show, I said, they restructured 5 guys to this point, right? No burgers. There's at least one sitting right in front of you that you haven't put a trigger on yet. Why haven't you put the trigger on restructuring OC yet? Because you don't need to yet. But in the event you need to, you're going to pull that. So let's say they get Trey Hendrickson, and let's say they can talk him down to, I don't know, let's say 28, whatever, just for the sake of math. I wouldn't do 30, but let's say they get him.
Would you be happy honestly, would you guys be happy paying Trey Hendrickson 28?
Yes.
As long as he's on your team, I'm fine.
Yeah, because
find a way to make it work,
at
baby.
At the end of the day, 2 things are true, which is to what I'm saying. You can finesse the salary cap however you need to finesse it. Teams do it all the time. In addition to it, it ain't my money.
See, and that's where
it ain't my money.
That's where my mindset is.
So
I sat up here last week and told Cowboys fans and was very adamant about it, and I still believe this, by the way, that I think this year is different from a spending standpoint. I think it is different from what I've heard from the front office and from what we've heard all the way around. And I still think they are willing to do something big. But at that point, it might be $30 million for Trey Hendrickson.
He's not going below that.
Do what you got to do to make this team better, and do exactly what Jerry said on the bus to us in Indianapolis. Wager the future. And that's the nice way of putting it.
Listen.
Wager the future and get a badass football player on your team and spend the money to do so. I still think they are tinkering on doing that, but they're just hesitant at the moment. But in this day and age of NFL free agency and the legal tampering period, hesitation gets you nothing. You cannot wait for this. Make a move. Forget about the future. Let's do this thing over the next 2 or 3 years and see what happens.
Because here's what you don't want them to do, right? And this is not a shot at either of these two guys, especially Jadeveon Clowney, because we on this show, we love us some Jadeveon Clowney. But if you can get Trey Hendrickson in lieu of breaking that money apart and saying, okay, I'm going to bring back Fowler and Clowney and a third person, and then here's Jerry now spinning it and selling it how he has in the past and saying, well, instead of us paying Micah, we were able to get 5 different people. He could. I don't want that to happen here. I say you go and get Trey. I already said I don't want to pay Trey 30. I don't. Yeah. But if they paid Trey 30, am I personally going to be upset? No, because he's on the roster, which was my goal, and it ain't my money. And I know that you can pull more triggers to free up more cash to also get Tariq Woolen and bring Reek to Dallas. So, yes, you can do all of those things.
Let me ask you this question.
Ask.
If you can wait until tomorrow and grab somebody from Miami for 20.
Who's somebody?
I'm not sure.
Can't say
it yet. Grab somebody out of Miami for
just
20.
like Go Dogs. Can't say it today.
Okay, so grab that person for 20, and you go get a Reek, and you get a contributing linebacker.
One of the guys, you get an Ellis or a Chenal or something.
Exactly. You're saying that you would prefer.
Wait, the person you're talking about in Miami, are they on an expiring contract?
They are going to most likely be.
If there's no deal done by tomorrow, will their contract expire?
Well, they would already be.
I'm trying to figure out who he's talking about without saying it on the air. And
listen, man,
I'll figure it out. Text it to me. But okay,
you're saying, let's just say edge rusher, $20 million, a blue chip guy.
Yeah.
If you get him along with a starting caliber linebacker and a starting caliber corner, would you feel okay with that as opposed to Trey Hendrickson?
Yes.
If you get Trey Hendrickson, I think you are much less worried about getting cleaned out at linebacker.
Okay.
Because then you can focus on the draft at that point.
Okay.
Because you have those high picks. You have 2 first-round picks. I think you're able to make it work if you draft or if you sign Trey Hendrickson.
So
and make it work with linebacker.
At this point, okay?
Yes.
I like Hendrickson. I love love him, and I hate that what's happened to him in terms of his career and being screwed contractually. I wish the best for him, and maybe he'll be here. I personally, would much rather have our one of the gentlemen out of Miami that I like. Go get your corner, right, and get you a starting linebacker, and then use your first 2 picks in the draft to go get 2 more goons on defense that are young guns that can contribute. That's what I would like, because now at that point your entire defense is a holistic that you have no weaknesses at that point.
Okay,
right? No glaring weaknesses.
To answer your question, because brain funk. Now I know. Yeah. So, because I thought the move had already been executed.
Tomorrow.
If the move is executed for the player that we're
just being safe, by the way, for everybody. I see everybody in the chat.
And
you got it.
You guys
that's
know
the
what
name.
you're talking about.
That's the name we're talking about.
Say it. So if
we're just
that's my mistake, because I thought it had already been executed.
Yeah.
But if that move is executed tomorrow when the new league year opens, to answer your question, yes, I am much more comfortable and I'm completely fine with, in lieu of Trey Hendrickson, you bring me this guy
as
at
long
20.
As you do something else.
If you add Tariq Woolen, or
that's what I'm saying,
or a Chenal or Ellis, if you add,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
not by themselves.
That's
what I'm saying, and we said this at the beginning of the show. I believe that Dallas is halfway in, halfway out of trying to go back to paying so much money for one player.
Yes.
Like I really think that they're torn between what they've done
and I think fans
and what they're
would
unwilling
want that
to do. And so I truly believe that they're waiting on this potential move to happen. And if they can't get that done, then they'll go do.
I don't know. Okay, so as we have this conversation, I could see their thought process starting to maybe shift toward that, but it wasn't that effective last Friday or Saturday when they were ready to go hard. When they did go hard at Max Crosby, and then when that didn't pan out, because I agree in not giving up 2 first rounds, they said, okay, well, let's pivot to still talking to Trey Hendrickson, but let's go ahead and make this Rashan Gary move in the event we also don't get Trey Hendrickson, knowing that Gary needs a sweetener. So if the sweetener is the guy from Miami, if that move is executed tomorrow, and you address linebacker and or corner with not just a budget bin guy, but an actual starter.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at this. Yeah, Strange. That's exactly how I'm looking at this, and I can see that playing out.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can see that gentleman looking at what just happened yesterday with the trade with Dallas for Gary, looking at there and saying, "Oh, he's over there. Bet. I'll come play on the opposite side. And you guys are gonna grab a linebacker, a starting linebacker?
Sweet.
Oh, bet. And you're gonna go get a corner? Let's go.
I got a question.
And we got
two first-round picks?
And 2 first-round picks? Let's go.
I got a question for the panel because I'm curious.
Well, we got to take a break. So
okay.
we got to come back.
Then.
We're going to talk about Patrick's question here in a second. Then we're going to take a look at the NFC East. When we come back, more Talking Cowboys right after this.
At AT&T, we guarantee our network so you can talk college football with your BFF while taking Buster to the vet.
Hey, I can't believe he ate the whole thing of chicken wings.
And I can't believe we're staging a comeback. Touchdown!
Yes!
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, you'll automatically get a bill credit for a full day's service. For wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers, must be connected to impacted tower at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details.
Cowboys fans, we've got big news. Black Rifle Energy is now available at Texas 7-Eleven stores. And for a limited time, you can score 2 cans for just $6 at participating locations. These cans pack a serious punch, 200 milligrams of caffeine, veteran-crafted flavor, and the clean energy you need to power through those long days. So the next time you roll into your neighborhood 7-Eleven here in Texas, grab that 2 for $6 Black Rifle Energy deal and fuel up the American way. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys, with Patrick, Josh, Isaiah, Chris Beam in the back of Kyle Youmans. For the first time in history, Melvin has made 2 back-to-back funny comments in the chat section. I liked this one. He said, "It's legal tampering, guys. You can say it."
No, we cannot.
Which we cannot.
We cannot.
But you can't.
Till he's especially.
It's called protecting the team, guys.
Yeah, especially since he's still technically under contract, even though the news is out that he will be released. We can't talk about it. And then he said, "What future? Don't y'all watch the news?" with the laughing emoji. Like, yeah, that's fair. All right, let's wager the future, right?
Yeah, let's wager the future.
All right, what was your question, Pat?
So, question. We're sitting here, we're talking about this particular individual, which I think we all know who we're talking about now. Mm-hmm. In a scenario where, not unlike Rashan Gary, when teams know that this player is going to be released, there are obviously teams who are so willing to bust the budget. They're like, we're not going to trade for him because we're willing to throw whatever bag at him. That's typically not the Cowboys. So as the Cowboys front office, would you not be more comfortable in the waning moments before he's officially released, swooping in and offering up a pick to get him?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
What would that pick look like for you?
A 5th.
A 5th next year.
One of those 3 fifths.
This year or next year?
This year.
You got 3 this year. You might as well use one.
Yeah, you got a comp.
It's
Use
fair.
it.
Get 2 right next to each other. You might as well
You
use
got 2
one of
comps.
those.
Yeah,
comps.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah. Now, I will say this.
Brandon, you don't have any day 2 picks, but
This is a great point that Isaiah makes, though, okay? And he made this during the break. That's a $30+ million hit for 2026 that this particular gentleman has on that roster.
Got to rework.
That has to be a rework, right?
Has to be.
So, yeah, I agree. I'd give up a 5th.
And maybe they take some of the contract. So 5th's probably
But
expensive.
they got to eat the proration anyway.
Yeah.
So
There's a little bit of that. Are you worried about his injury history? He's got some.
I can't – no, because I can't in good conscience sit here and say that I'm in on Trey Hendrickson or that I was in on Max Crosby, but then look at this particular guy and say, oh, well, I'm not in on him from – like, no, it's apples, 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 right? It's literally apples to apples to apples when you're comparing those 3 guys. So, yeah, I'm completely not worried about from that capacity any more than I would be with Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. So, yeah, I mean, I was just curious if you guys were of the same mindset with me. It was like, don't let him hit free agency because knowing how the Cowboys typically spend, and even if they wouldn't looking to bust, but they're not going to get into that bidding war for that guy. So go in and take him.
Snag him.
One other linebacker name. We threw out Chenal. We threw out Ellis. One other linebacker name that I think, and Nick Harris, friend of the show, former Talkin Cowboys member, threw this out there yesterday, but Patrick Queen from Pittsburgh, he might be another opportunity.
Doesn't move great for me.
Yeah, he's always been kind of slow. That was
I think the reports are saying that they might be out on that.
Yeah. Okay,
so there you go.
Yeah, they might not be pursuing it as hard as they were yesterday.
He was fantastic in Baltimore. Completely out of sorts in Pittsburgh. You could say different team, different system, and that's viable.
I would rather have the other two guys.
But you would. You would.
Well, I'm trying to look at the identity of the direction of this defense, and I'm thinking about guys that not only can produce on the field, but also give you the versatility to be able to be multiple defensively, which we know Coach Parker wants to do, and then also what type of attitude do these guys have? What type of aggression do they have on the field? That is going to determine the type of personnel that you're going to bring into this locker room as well. I think that's something that's lost when people are putting together rosters around this time of the year. People just look at what they do what type of production do they have? What do their stats look like? What type of player are they?
Yeah.
What type of energy do they bring, right? Are they a high energy guy? Are they a rah-rah guy? Are they a go hit you in the face type dude? Like, what do they bring in that regard? So that's why I think about some of these personnel. That's why I bring these names.
Are they willing to do whatever it is?
Exactly.
Or it's like, oh, I'm just a passer.
Exactly.
One of the, out of the two guys they signed yesterday or made the moves for yesterday, mixed reports on Rashan Gary. But for Jalen Thompson, I texted some of our friends over with the Arizona Cardinals, said, I love with 7 O's in love. I love Jalen Thompson. Nicest, most respectful and humble person. And then he said he's so great, played this entire year on a contract with no guaranteed money. He's smart, he's tough, and he deserves every bit of that money that is coming to him.
Super high football IQ.
And that's even without him stepping foot in the building.
Yeah. Versatile, a sure tackler. I mean, he finishes plays, and his solo tackle numbers are proof of that over his entire career.
He split almost evenly 3 different areas in his alignment as safety. He had free, strong, and nickel. He played a lot of nickel, 230 plus snaps at nickel back, and so you're going to use him a lot in a couple different areas for that backside.
If I'm building this defense, I know we got to get out of here. I'm looking at my interior D linemen being dogs, right? My 3 down, those guys, all 3 of them have to be dogs. I'm looking for my outside linebackers now. Okay, I need those guys to be straight goons. I need both sides to be goons, just menaces. Just even if they're not dominant players, I need them to be, cojones to the wall type people every single play, just pests, right? I need my interior linebackers to be intellectual guys, sure tacklers that are smart as all get out, and I need my secondary to be versatile. That's how I would build this team, right? So that's exactly how I would look at this now. If you can't go get, and we seem to have possibly missed out on some of those just game-changing type players, but now I think you can still formulate your team in this way, right? You have your 3 down guys already. I think you can still add to that. There's some veteran guys that maybe towards the end of their career that can add to that depth, right? There's some big boys out there. Calais Campbell's out there. You got Cameron Jordan out there. You got some guys that are like, oh, those guys are old. Yeah, but if they're going to be the second wave of your D-line, that's a hell of a second line to bring in. And what do they bring to your locker room? What do they bring to that defensive line? That's what I'm talking about. When you start adding these depth pieces, have your starters, but then behind them, have some consistent, smart, intellectual guys that can get their job done. Maybe not to the way they used to because they were big-time star players, but they can still make huge contributions.
Just because I teased it, I want to go through the NFC East real quick and kind of talk about what happened yesterday. Of course, we talked about the Cowboys. They were the only team that did not lose a free agent to another team in the NFC East, and I believe in the NFL.
Take that either way, good or bad.
Good or bad, whatever that ends up being. The Eagles, however, lost a lot. Oh, my goodness. They did not sign anybody. Them and the Packers are the only two teams that did not sign any free agents yesterday, or at least agreed to terms. They did extend Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle, but they lost Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, and Jahan Dotson. So those are 3 of 4 really good players that they are no longer going to have.
Words.
The Giants were very busy. They signed Isaiah Likely, the tight end. They signed linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. They signed safety Ardarius Washington. They signed a new punter in Jordan Stout. And they re-signed a couple of their guys, offensive linemen and a wide receiver. They lost Wan'Dale Robinson, Cordell Flott, and Daniel Bellinger. Of course, they have new leadership with John Harbaugh and company. What was that?
So Robinson got cashed out.
Yes, he did. Yeah, good for him. And then the Commanders signed Odafe Owe. They signed corner Amik Robertson. They signed defensive tackle Tim Settle from the Texans. And then they re-signed Marcus Mariota, and they extended one of their offensive linemen.
At least they lost out on Alec Pierce.
They did lose out on
because now you don't have to worry about Pierce opposite Scary Terry.
Yes. The one guy they did lose was a guy they cut, and a former Cowboy, Tyler Biotish. He goes to the Chargers for 3 years. And
good for him, by the way.
He got a little bag.
Have you noticed that our former centers have gotten paid?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Biotish?
Oh, interior lineman. Biotish.
McGovern,
yeah.
The look you have.
I literally was sitting here watching yesterday. I'm like, our scouting department.
They know how to pick linebacker or linemen.
They
know how to pick offensive linemen. They got that one down.
That's definitely not.
All right, that does it for us here on Talking Cowboys. We'll be back next Tuesday with more. Can't wait to have it. Isaiah, I love you, buddy. I just don't love the Seahawks. That's about it. All right, we'll be back Tuesday. Plenty more to break down. I'm sure it'll be a whole nother week of craziness between now and then. For Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Talking Cowboys. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,